Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Art of Becoming Unstuck Book Club. I'm Arda Ozdemir. I'm here with Dion, Elizabeth, and Beth to explore the laws of life that are described in the book, The Art of Becoming Unstuck. Today, our focus is on law of life number 3, which is only those who have sandbags react emotionally. So what does that mean? Elizabeth, what's your take on this?
I'm not sure, but I think I may just read a passage from your book on page 40. And this might make it a little bit clearer. Granted, becoming aware of sandbags can be difficult because your emotional reactions are often mind-blowingly fast. Sometimes it's a matter of only milliseconds, but when you learn to pause, you find it easier to see your emotional reactions. I love that.
What do you like about it?
Well, that we're tying back. Can I ask you a question before I say what I love about it? Because it makes me understand the law of life 3. But only those who have sandbags. So you're talking about like everybody, like 100% of the people, because well, let's say 99.5. Just like
let's
only,
make it.
Go ahead. I meant like.
Yeah, let's make it 99.999% of people.
Okay.
Because we tend to emotionally react to everything because we take them personally. We take situations and people personally. And why we do that? Because we have sandbags. Like we talked about sandbags last episode, right?
What's a sandbag, Arda? Beth, what do you guys think? Elizabeth?
Yeah, what I understood from last week was that sandbags are repressed fears. So it gets back to about those fears, and sometimes, most of the time, we don't even know what they are.
Because I think we're just going through life, reacting to this, reacting to that, and not taking time to sit back, think about it, pause. So for example, one of my fears or vulnerabilities, sandbags, is like, you know, I'm fear of being abandoned, or the fear, there's a lot of fears, and we talked about them last week. You want to just bring up a couple more?
Actually, let's go through that fear of abandonment as an example. So when you have that fear of abandonment stored or buried or repressed in your body, in your system, in your old thinking system, in your subconscious, what you're going to be looking for is there a risk? If something is happening, a situation, a person, an attitude, and a behavior, and a word, you immediately start to think, is there a risk of being abandoned here? So your radar goes up and you are looking for things to protect yourself. That's why you start to emotionally react to things. Oh, you said that. I felt abandoned. But usually because we don't know that it is fear of abandonment that buried as a sandbag, we usually blame the other person.
And Arda, do you think we're doing this all in our subconscious? We're not like fully aware. And do you think we're, by having that repressed fear that we don't really aren't aware of, we're almost sabotaging ourselves. We're almost creating more of that for ourselves, unintentionally, right? But yeah.
Unintentionally, we are creating. Yeah. Actually, I'm not sure even the word creating is we are creating, we are directing life, right? We are looking for that because we are so scared.
Yeah.
Being abandoned. So therefore we are looking, is there a risk of being abandoned here? So because it's buried, it's in the subconscious, we don't know, right? We don't know. We have no idea why we are emotionally reacting to people, why we are taking things personally. Something happened 20 years ago. It's buried in my system. I don't know what that is. So I'm looking for that cue, looking for that clue that is going to tell me, oh, there's a risk of abandonment here, so I better run. People say like, oh, I have a phobia of commitment. Why do you think that is?
Yeah.
Why?
Because people are afraid of being abandoned, so they cannot commit.
You know, so you have to first think about, okay, I have this, how do you know you have a fear of abandonment? You're reacting and then like I pause, but before that, don't you have to kind of figure out why you have that fear of abandonment and put a name on it?
So before we get, so it is an interesting question, but I want to actually hear from Dion about this pause thing that you just brought up, Elizabeth. What do you think, and why do you think we need to pause?
Well, yeah, I like the question, Elizabeth and Arda, and I think that it would be great if we could understand why we have the fear of abandonment. But it sounds like that's a difficult thing to just have, and maybe the way that we can actually get there is first by pausing for what? What do we want to pause and see? And it sounds like it's the emotions that are going to be our clue.
Exactly.
The one thing I like, Dion, that I think is in Arda's book, or if not, it's something that he, I think, referenced in his classes, that our emotional reaction is maybe something that we can't help. I mean, it's 90 seconds, up to 90 seconds, and it's something we really can't control. But after that, we can make a choice. And so I think that's where the pause is really important, because we've got to get through that 90 seconds. And so then we can choose how we want to react instead of being sabotaged and just reacting to a situation.
I like that. That's right. You pause, so you're not going into that known reaction that you always have. It's just putting a stop for a second.
Yes, that breaking, putting like throwing a wrench into the system of fight or flight response. That is subconscious. It is coming from subconscious. And why do you guys think that subconscious does that? Why do you think subconscious has a fight or flight system, which everybody is basically putting it down? I think it's an amazing.
I think it was a survival mechanism. Yeah.
Exactly.
But we don't have, we're not in the desert and the jungle and being chased by tigers anymore, are we? So we're creating our own.
I'm not sure about the tigers, but I'm 100% sure that we are still in the jungle.
Okay.
Because it is, I mean, when you think about it, I mean, what do you guys think? It is pretty chaotic out there. It's pretty messy, right? So, we are always having these fears. Dion?
Well, I was going to go one way, but now I'm going to go another. And that is.
Go all the way.
Arda, you're talking about emotions.
Both ways.
Okay. Once. You're saying that we have these, I'm going to use the word negative emotional reactions. I don't know how you feel about that, but I'm going to use it. And you're saying that they come from cues that we see in our environment. So are you saying that all of our emotional reactions are coming from cues that have a sandbag or a fear behind it?
100%. So let me give you an analogy. So let's say you have a wound. So we talked about the vulnerability. Fears are vulnerabilities, and the sandbags are the fears. The sandbags are the shadows. The shadows are the vulnerabilities that we are trying to hide, all that kind of stuff, right? So let's say you have an actual wound in your forearm and you're wearing a long sleeve shirt. I hit accidentally, to me, I hit your forearm without seeing your wound, and you scream. Idiot, don't you know that I have a wound there, right? I was rushing through, I just opened the door and I was going through into, et cetera, et cetera. I hit your forearm, right? So let's say the following day, I am rushing through the door again. We are working in the same office. You still have the wound. You did not heal your wound. I am going in. What are you going to be doing? Without me
pulling
doing
my arm away from you. You bull in the china shop, you're going to hurt me again.
Exactly. So same scenario, completely your perception, your creation that this is going to happen because I am merely going through the door or coming close into your space, and you are hiding your wound. So You might be thinking at that time, what an idiot. He hit me yesterday and he is still uncontrollably coming into my space, even though I have not hit your forearm yet. So you are creating this story in your mind that I am going to hit your wound that I haven't seen the day before and I'm not seeing right now. So your attention is on me and you're attacking me to get me out of your space, to defend your wound. This happens exactly every day to 8 billion people, about every minute, because we are not equipped to slow down and say, wait a second, he hit me, it hit my wound yesterday, but if he comes close to my wound at this time, I will say, Arda, can you please slow down? Or, hey, I can actually move my forearm out of his way. Instead, attacking, pushing the people out of our boundaries, out of our comfort zone, giving them all sorts of names and labels and et cetera, attacking them, offending them, but in the name of defending our wound. Does that make sense?
All right, Dion, what was the other direction?
Well, okay. I don't know, Beth. I think I got so wrapped up in the analogy.
I know, it was a great analogy, Arda. I love that.
So is the wound our sandbag?
Absolutely. Repressed fears are our wounds, our vulnerabilities. That's why the first thing is slowing down to see, wait a second, why am I reacting here? Why? So as Dion pointed out, what's the cue? What's the first cue? Is the emotional reaction. Whenever you have an emotional reaction, if you can, because you've got only 0.5 milliseconds to react. It's a beautiful system, beautiful. I'm in love with subconscious. I'm in love with human psyche. This is just an incredible system. So that's how much time you have. Good luck with that. And you just, you cannot figure out why you have vulnerability and you're taking things personally.
What if you don't want to pause? What if you don't want to have these negative emotions? You don't want to feel depressed. It's too much. What if you're not in love with the subconscious? Why would you want to pause anyways and look at this? What can we offer if someone's feeling like, I'm not excited about my anxiety, but it's like, what's the benefit of noticing, hey, I'm anxious?
First of all, before we answer that, and I love that question, Dion, I love that question, why we are even obsessed about this. So is there a way to befriend our emotions? When we say anxiety, when we say anger, what do you feel?
Dion, what I would add to that is what this method has done for me is that if we allow ourselves to stay in that anxiety or whatever we're feeling, that's a very, like, you don't feel like you're in control. It's sort of a not happy place to stay, right? And it doesn't feel good. But through Arda's method and the art of becoming unstuck, it's giving us tools that's empowering us. It's giving our power back. It's giving our control back. So for me, that would be the reason that you would decide to experience those emotions, decide to, kind of become aware of some of those repressed fears, as simply to get your control back, right? Feel in control.
Well
and
said.
Dion, I was thinking that, I would want, I came to Arda and I'm looking this philosophy because I want to feel differently. I'm not feeling great. So I want to take this on. So I want to feel better and I want to understand myself better so I can have better relationships. And bringing your comment that was very well articulated to Arda's comment, accepting these emotions, that part's like, don't want to do that. That's not part of my plan. So that's where I get tripped up. Anxiety, get away. Fear of this, get away. And when he says to bring those in, I'm like, not doing that. See you later. I'm still here, right?
And that resistance, I'm getting some feedback, but I think it's, anyway, so I totally understand that resistance. And I think what I want to draw attention to is the fact that, hey, we do have sandbags and we can work on them and lessen them. So we lessen our emotional reactions.
Yeah.
What you just said empowered so many people, even whether they are ready or not. That is such a hopeful message for everyone who is struggling with emotional regulation, emotional mastery, emotional balance. Even though we try to push them away, but we are left without any solutions. How are we going to really regulate our emotions? We keep emotionally reacting, taking things personally, but how can we get hold of our emotions? How can we control them? Otherwise, we all feel hopeless and powerless.
You're going to make me cry. Yes, I agree. Yeah. I think it's immensely hopeful, and the invitation is to just.
And what's so neat about that is we don't have to go from despair to ultimate happiness. We just need to come up one little notch, right? And I think hope is a key to that.
Yes.
And even the first time you pause and you think about it, it's hallelujah. I paused, I was able to do it and it feels good. So you have a choice. And so it feels so good, you want to do it again. And you're going to forget, it's not perfect, but the more you do it, the more you want to do it because it works.
It takes time to even remember to pause. How long did it take for you, I mean, whoever wants to jump in, to realize that is something that you can work on, that is something that is available to you, that pausing, just when you are in the middle of an emotional reaction and you can pause?
Still working on it, Arda.
A nice answer.
Yes. And the bigger the trigger, the harder it is. And in the beginning, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so simple. And yet I am aware of how many directions my mind is going and none of them are pausing. And it was a real training to just invite myself to do that. What about you, Elizabeth? What's your experience?
It was very hard, but I had to really set my mind to it. And again, when I first experienced that and I knew I had a choice, then that helped. And then the more I kept up with this philosophy and some of the self-observation meditation, the other night I was triggered, but I paused and I just started laughing. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so funny. Like it didn't even trigger me anymore. I'm like, this goes on all the time. Look at this. I was looking at it like a movie instead of my own life. And I was able to react differently. It didn't bother me.
Oh,
and isn't that the best feeling? Yeah.
Yes.
And then you mentioned self-observation meditation. It would be great if Elizabeth, you or Arda could talk more about that.
Well, Arda, since you're on Inside Timer, I've listened to your meditation probably like 60 times. So all those numbers, no, I've listened.
I've got 70
running the numbers
views.
up, okay? I'm running
You're skewing the data.
Yeah.
I've got 70 listens, so now I know 60 coming from you. Thank you. It felt really great.
But I love that meditation that you do on Inside Timer, and it just helps me so much. And for me, before I couldn't even sit for 3 minutes, the 10 minutes just goes by so fast, so why don't you talk about that, Arda?
It is, thank you. It is really what we talked, extension of what we talked before. Last episode, we talked about the conscious discomfort, right? We talked about the Grand Canyon, 10 feet away. The view is not that great if you are 10 feet away from the edge of the cliff. And the recommendation was go toward to the edge of the cliff, so you get a little better view, and you are also conquering your fears one step at a time. So that step, imagine yourself, you are 10 feet away and you are taking one step closer to the edge. Now you are 9 feet away. That requires enormous emotional regulation, because the thoughts are coming, the fears are coming, and your body is almost about to freeze or fight with the feeling, or flight, run away. So self-observation meditation is a great plug right in that moment, because you are observing your thoughts and you're dropping into the body. You're observing your thoughts and not acting according to your thoughts, and you're dropping into the body. Through that, you can learn to pause. So I can run a minute or two as self-observation meditation, just guidance to see how it works. So get comfortable, right? You put your hands on top of each other in a cradle position, and thumbs meet on top. Make sure that you have a little circle. You're forming a circle between your hands and your thumbs. You place your hand position on your lap, very relaxed. Feet are flat on the floor. Take a deep breath in, and when you're exhaling, close your eyes. Wait 2 seconds. 3 seconds. Let's go into a silence of 5 seconds. What just happened? Keep your eyes closed. You no longer feel the touch of your thumbs. You are lost in your thoughts. So now bring your attention to your thumbs where they touch. Maybe even the circle got deformed because you got too relaxed or too tense, right? Let's bring your attention to your thumbs, to that touch one more time. Let's go into the silence. Your focus is completely on the thumbs. Where are you now? You may be daydreaming, you are lost in your thoughts, maybe images are going through, and you guys are all, very, very experienced meditators, but I'm wondering where our listeners are. Are you still on that sensation your thumbs created, or you are lost in your thoughts? Observe the thoughts, acknowledge the thought, acknowledge the image, notice the image that is going through your head and your mind and your body. Come back to the sensation. Another 10 seconds. Let's stay on the sensation that your thumbs create. There you go. Take a deep breath in. When you're exhaling, release your thumbs, open your eyes. About 2.5, 3 minute exercise here. How did it feel? Was it difficult? I call it tug of war between you trying to get hold of your attention and your thoughts trying to take your attention away from your thumbs.
I'm sitting here thinking my thumbs, and it starts raining. I'm like, oh my God, it's rain. Oh, get back to my thumbs. So it's always a struggle. Does it get easier? Go ahead. I'm sorry, Beth.
I'm sorry. A lot of spiritual leaders encourage us to stay in the present. And so this is part of what this exercise is for me. We don't realize fully how much time we aren't spending in the present. And by bringing that attention back to the thumbs, it really helps me to focus and say, okay, this is the here and now.
Absolutely. This is a very incredible tool to be present. Dion?
Well, I wanted to ask you, because you used the word before we started, drop into the body. And I get asked, what does that mean? What does that mean to you? Drop into the body.
Connecting with the sensations in the body. Because here's what's happening. It's a pretty deep topic, but we can obviously scratch the surface on this. So when we are in our minds, we are in the survival mode, right? Because subconscious has a full control over our minds. Then we have this thing called heart, and everybody is trying to activate the heart energy. Oh my God, I have these desires. Oh my God, I have these needs. Oh my God, I have these hidden wishes, unmet desires. So heart, beautiful energy, but still subconscious. Dropping into the body is melting those two together, almost like connecting with the sensations of the body, where the mind holds the hand of the heart and they go body into the body. Interesting. I didn't plan that one. And they get married, they get mingled, they start to play with each other. Otherwise, the mind goes this direction and the heart goes that direction, and we are in the survival mechanism all the time, fight or flight, and we basically suffer. So being in the present, as you are practicing with the self-observation meditation, is training you to connect with the sensations as your anchor. You start to get your control back of your attention, control of your attention, and then direct it to your body.
So it sounds like by focusing on the sensation between our thumbs, that is dropping into the body, and that is a break from this subconscious fight or flight. That's an opportunity to observe instead of be in it.
Observe instead of being in it. Observe instead of being in it. Exactly that. Because when you take a step back, and the first ever first thing that I heard about this method, that when I was exploring, is the email. Because I used to be in the corporate world, and everybody's like, don't respond to an email when you're angry. When you get a nasty email, just step out of your chair and desk and go for a walk and blah blah blah, right? That's what they're trying to say. Step out. But we do not have the tool to do it when that happens to us at the scene of crash, at the scene of accident.
I just want to pause for a second here and just give everybody a heads up that we are almost at our 30-minute mark. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Elizabeth, what do you think about this thing? Just the dropping into the body and feeling these sensations. What is going on with this?
I'm able to do that now. It's amazing. I usually don't want to feel my emotions, and I've learned by doing that I can get rid of them by focusing on, putting them through my feet or getting them out somewhere else. I struggle a lot, but I've realized that through this meditation, it helps me in other areas of my life, like the email idea that you said, and sitting with a problem and not having it eat me up, but just sitting with it. And I'm still practicing. I'm very beginner, and it's still hard, but I keep doing it because it's working. It's working.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
And to Beth, really, the half hour's already up?
I can't believe it.
Vera, bad news.
Well, we are always
Somebody
here.
has to keep time.
Sorry.
We're always here. So who's going to read Law of Life 4 that we will be covering in our next episode of the Art of Becoming Unstuck book club?
Yeah, I can do that. Our Law of Life 4 is triggers are the messengers of sandbags.
That is exciting. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Do we have to have 30 minutes? This
At
is
least.
at
Yeah.
least. This
Yeah.
is like part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh,
Okay.
This is gonna
Thank
be
you all for your insights. Beautiful. Beautifully done.
well done. Well done. So thank you. Thank you for sharing your spirits, energy, and also listening in to our conversations. So looking forward to sharing more in our next episode at the Art of Becoming Unstuck book club at Rise to Realize podcast channel. Thank you. Bye all.
Bye.
Right.
Bye.
Bye.